Welcome back, everyone. Today, Alex and I are discussing the 4 archetypes of successful recruiters. We'll be exploring the roles of the researcher, the outreacher, the networker, and the seller. Alex, could you kick us off by explaining the first archetype, the researcher?
Yeah, Tyler. So the researcher is probably my favorite type, and it's probably the one that I feel like I identify most with. The researcher is the recruiter that is really good at using the different social media boards, the job boards, to find candidates that are on the edges, to find candidates that other people aren't finding. They're not the obvious candidates. They're good at inferring that a candidate would be qualified for a job rather than just looking for the obvious signals. The reason the researcher is successful is because they're identifying candidates that aren't normally getting talked to. They're reaching out to candidates that don't get a ton of emails or messages on Indeed or what have you. These are folks that maybe don't have great or comprehensive LinkedIn profiles, but the researcher is so good at reading between the lines that they're identifying folks that essentially other people are missing.
That's fascinating, Alex. So the researcher really excels at uncovering hidden gems by reading between the lines and finding candidates who might not be on everyone else's radar. They use their skills with social media boards and job boards to dig deeper and spot potential that others might miss. What about the next archetype, the outreacher?
Yeah, I think the outreacher here is this person is somebody that they can, whether it's email or in-mails or cold calling, cold emailing, they're great at customizing their outreach, executing the outreach, setting up systems. They're great on the phone. They're really good at what we call activating candidates. That is, getting a hold of somebody and guiding that person into awareness that they might be interested in a job. So the outreacher, like I said, is essentially just really good at working the list.
That's really impressive, Alex. So the outreacher is the person who thrives on making connections and activating candidates through personalized communication, whether it's via email, phone, or other methods. They excel at guiding potential candidates to realize their interest in a job and setting up effective systems for outreach. It sounds like they play a crucial role in keeping the talent pipeline engaged and active. Now, how about the networker?
Yeah, so the networker is somebody that is really good at starting and maintaining relationships and then calling on those relationships to get, for example, referrals. So this is your person that naturally thinks in relationship networks, who's worked with who. They've got a really good sense of kind of that spider web of network connections, and they capitalize on that on behalf of their employer or their clients.
Got it. So the networker is the relationship builder. They're skilled at starting and maintaining relationships and leveraging those connections for referrals. They have a natural knack for understanding and navigating the intricate web of professional relationships, knowing who's worked with whom and using that to their advantage. It sounds like they can be invaluable in tapping into networks that might not be immediately visible. Lastly, let's talk about the seller.
Yeah, Tyler, the seller is basically exactly what you think. They're really good at closing the deal. They're good at understanding what motivates people, and then they do whatever is in their personal style to capitalize on that motivation to get what they want. I think that the danger and the frustration that business leaders have with the seller type is on the candidate side, they have the ability to sell candidates on roles that are maybe not right for them. And the frustration, if you're hiring a seller as a hasty recruiter, they might have the ability to sell you on a candidate that's not really right for you, or maybe sell you on making a decision that's not in your best interest. Now, I think the sellers would argue, and have with me, I think quite effectively, that people need somebody to be selling them on making a decision. Otherwise, they're liable to just make no decision at all. And I think the sellers would argue that no decision is worse than making a decision. So those are our 4 categories of effective recruiters.
That's a great breakdown, Alex. So the seller is all about closing the deal and understanding what drives people. but there's a balance to be struck to ensure the right decisions are being made for both candidates and employers. They play a crucial role in pushing decisions forward, which can be essential in avoiding stagnation. Thanks for breaking those down, Alex. It's fascinating to see the different strengths each archetype brings to the table for our listeners. If you recognize yourself or your team members in these archetypes, it might help you understand how to best leverage those strengths in your recruiting efforts. Any final thoughts before we wrap up, Alex?
No, I think that was a great summary. Thanks, Tyler.
You're welcome, Alex. Thanks for sharing such valuable insights today, and thanks to our listeners for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.